Chamomile is one of the most popular herbs and companion plants. Studies confirm what those of us who use it already knew. Chamomile is excellent for easing stress and promoting sleep. Fortunately, growing chamomile is simple. Learn how with today's tips. I'm Angela from Growing in the Garden. My garden's in Mesa, Arizona. I want to help you succeed even if you're gardening in tough conditions. There are two main types of chamomile, German and Roman. German chamomile is an annual, which means you plant it each year. The plants grow tall and are covered in blooms. It's also the best for tea and has the highest amount of medicinal compounds. Roman chamomile is a low-growing perennial herb. It often comes back each year and spreads by rhizomes. It's commonly grown as a lawn replacement, edging, or ground cover, instead of being grown for the blooms. I'd like to point out that there is a relative of chamomile called stinknet, commonly called globe chamomile, that is an invasive weed that is taking over parts of Arizona. This weed is spreading rapidly and should be pulled and destroyed before it goes to seed. Don't mistake it for the chamomile we're discussing today. Although German chamomile can reseed in your garden, it does not grow in the wild here in Arizona. Today, we're talking about German chamomile, my favorite type. Chamomile is a tough herb and is very cold hardy, plus it tolerates temperatures up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It grows best in temperature ranges from 60 to 85 degrees. In mild winter climates, start seeds indoors in late summer and begin planting outside in fall all the way through spring. In cold winter climates, plant outdoors in early spring. Start seeds indoors about 8 weeks before you plan on planting outside. I like to start seeds indoors to give it a head start. I like planting it all throughout my garden, so I'm going to start a lot of seeds. So I use a seed starting mix specifically for starting seeds, and I start it in smaller containers because it takes a while for the transplants to grow larger. Each chamomile head has lots and lots of seeds. The seeds are tiny. It's hard to plant just one, so I'll just scatter a few seeds on top of the soil. I'll have to come back in later and thin. The seeds need light to germinate, so don't cover with soil. I like to top with a thin layer of vermiculite. It holds in the moisture, but still allows the light to penetrate. Seeds can take 7 to 10 days to germinate. Keep it hydrated. I like to use a spray bottle until they sprout. Once the seedlings emerge, thin to the strongest sprout. Be patient. These plants can take a little while to get going. Once it's nice and established, it's time to plant it outside. Plant it throughout your garden. It grows well in a variety of conditions. It tolerates poor soil and grows well in most soils. You really can plant this just about anywhere. It grows fastest with plenty of sunlight, but in hot summer areas, it will last longer into the summer if you plant it in an area with lots of shade. It also grows very well in containers. Choose one that's at least 10 to 12 inches high and it will thrive. After planting, keep the plants well watered. But once they're established, they're somewhat drought tolerant. Space plants about a foot apart. I like to plant mine on the ends of the bed, so towards the end of the season, as the plants get large, they have someplace to go. Don't worry about feeding your chamomile. It doesn't need supplemental fertilizer, even in containers. It's usually not bothered by pests. In fact, it's an excellent companion plant and attracts many beneficial insects and pollinators to your garden. At the end of the season, you might start to see some powdery mildew showing up. No big deal, the plant will be done soon. Harvest what you need and then dispose of the plant in the garbage, not your compost. The key to keeping plants looking good and producing more is to harvest often. I've gotten a little behind on harvesting this one. Some of the heads have already dried and will probably drop seeds and reseed next year. The best time to harvest is when the flowers are fully open and fragrant, but before those petals droop back and the heads get too large. That's when the moisture content and those essential oils are the highest. You can harvest individual heads by hand through your fingers. With snips, the idea is just to harvest the head, not the stem. Or with my favorite, a berry picker. After harvesting, dry heads in a single layer in a cool, dark place for several days until they're fully dry. Store them in an airtight container. For the best flavor, use within a year. My favorite way to use it is in tea. Let me show you how. Use about 1 tablespoon of dried chamomile for each mug. You can experiment and see how you like it. Fill that up. Nice hot water. And then you want to let it steep for 5 to 8 minutes depending on how strong you like it. It's also excellent when added to blends with other herbs. What's your favorite way to use chamomile?